Cruise news time. Well, I feel like I'm smack in the middle of that final scene of Braveheart, or the battle scene. I don't know where it was in the movie. You know, where they're standing on the hill, amassing the troops and putting paint on their faces and having inspirational speeches. Well, yeah, it could be analogous for what's going on in U.S. cruising right now. U.S. cruisers are amassing, and they're standing behind the cruise state of Florida as it gets ready to go to battle with the CDC. It's going down, and there's some other really cool things going on in cruising. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cruise News Show. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Well, the first update is yesterday afternoon, I went and got my first dose of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, and I'm doing well. The only thing I feel like it's in this arm here, and if I do this, it hurts a little. I went to my doctor and I said, Doc, every time I do this, it hurts a little. He said, stop doing that. Gosh, that joke's older than my parents. But anyways, yeah, so all is well. That's part of my Bahamas cruise prep. I have to be fully vaccinated. I go for my second shot in 2 weeks, and I'm pretty excited about it. Now, before we get to the battle that's brewing between U.S. cruisers, and there's going to be something that you can do. There's a little bit of a call to action. I feel a little bit like the Braveheart, William Wallace. There's a little call to action at the end, so stay tuned so you know what you can do if you want to get in the fight. But there are some more cruises happening, and I think it's important to celebrate new cruises happening, even though they're not happening here. And I think we should be looking at cruises that are happening for a couple reasons, so we can celebrate that cruising's restarted, and we can look and see what they're doing and see how that might apply here, like vaccination. How about that? So yes, cruise companies announcing 3 brand new cruises over the summer. We're talking about summertime cruising. Let's go to the Mediterranean first. Royal Caribbean, they're not stopping. They're going from as many home ports as they can, so it seems, and they made the announcement just the other day that they would be cruising out of Cyprus. Royal Caribbean's home porting the Jewel of the Seas in Limassol, Cyprus, and they're going to start sailings on July the 10th, 7-night sailings, itineraries around the Mediterranean, and bookings for that open up on April the 7th. Also in the Royal Caribbean group family, Celebrity Cruises also made a big announcement that it would be starting its European summer cruises from Athens, Greece, also Mediterranean cruises. But the really exciting thing for me is that it will be on the Celebrity Apex, one of Celebrity's newest cruise ships. Sailings on the Celebrity Apex from Athens will start on June the 19th, and you can begin booking those on March the 30th. Just like the other recent announcements from Royal, passengers on these cruises have to be fully vaccinated, so adults who are 18 or older, fully vaccinated. Other passengers that are younger than 18 will have to submit a negative PCR test. Big ups, Royal Caribbean restarting more cruises. And a name I didn't think I would be calling out jumping into the cruise game over the summer, Disney Cruise Lines. Disney Cruise Lines put a teaser announcement up just a couple days ago that they would be getting in on the ability to cruise around the British Isles. So we've seen a lot of cruise companies lately jump into this, staycation, cruise to nowhere, cruise around the British Isles, get on the cruise ship, have a few sea days, and then get off the cruise ship, much like what they're doing in Singapore. Disney Cruise Lines will be using the Disney Magic to do that. They'll be offering 2, 3, and 4-night sailings from limited ports: London, Tilbury, Newcastle, Liverpool, Southampton. This will be for UK residents only. They're going to open up the bookings in April, but they haven't really given out much detail beyond that, like when these cruises are going to start, what the dates are, that kind of thing. No talk about vaccination. Again, Disney is one of those cruise lines that cater to a lot of children. Will they require adults to be vaccinated and then kids to have the negative test? They're not saying here, so we do not know at this point. So certainly, intellectually, we can say that those are good cruise news stories. If we love that cruise life, if we're looking for the survival of the cruise industry, but as a U.S. cruiser, and I know that 70% of the people that watch these videos as U.S. cruisers, I know deep inside, at least I feel it, we're going, yeah, but what about us? What is the deal? Why are we still being held back by the oversight of the federal government? And I think what you've seen over the last couple days is that internal, sometimes external frustration being set forth in a brand new way. let's transition into talking about what's going on when it comes to U.S. cruisers, the state of Florida getting ready to go to battle with the federal government and the CDC. Before we get there, I'm going to make a call to arms. Are you one of the people that are ready to battle for cruising in the U.S.? Well, one way that there's a couple ways that you can do it. First is super selfish for me. You got to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that I can help pass the information from the leaders to the Army. Okay, this is way too dramatic. All I'm saying is if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in that cruise life, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. Interestingly, half of you are not subscribed, which I don't understand. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's go to battle. Now, the other thing that I'm going to tell you about that you can do is there is a way that you can make your voice heard. I'm going to tell you about the fight between Florida and the CDC, and then at the end, I will tell you where you can go to get in the battle. All right, so let's talk about what went down in Funky Town yesterday. And by Funky Town, I mean Port Canaveral. Like a classic Godfather movie, the five families came together. I don't know how many cruise lines were there, but the head of the cruise lines came together for a round table discussion at Port Canaveral, and they were joined by the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Interesting conversations happened there. Now, the main push of the round table was to talk about the state of cruising in the state of Florida. Florida derives many jobs and a significant amount of revenue from the cruise business. There's been a lot of state investment in the cruise ports, and the continued inability to sail from those U.S. ports in Florida is an economic crisis. There are U.S. workers here in Florida that have been unemployed. A statistic that came out of that meeting yesterday, 80% of cruise workers in Florida still unemployed. And the point of the meeting is what can be done. Now, I think, again, the thing that's prompted all this conversation was that, I don't know if it was this, but one thing that didn't help was the exchange between Senator Murkowski from Alaska and the head of the CDC, Dr. Walensky. Impassioned plea from the state of Alaska senator asking a question, what can I tell the people of Alaska? She wasn't asking the CDC to drop the conditional sail order. She was just asking, what can I tell them when the next steps will be? And she got nothing. If you saw that exchange, the more I think about that exchange, again, I feel like the CDC super unprepared for a question that they should have known was going to come their way. And there was no comfort at all given to Alaska and no comfort given to the cruise industry. It signaled to me that cruising was very low on the priority list of the CDC. And so something has to be done, but what can we do, and do we need a champion? These are the big tropes that are coming to mind. And I think yesterday we saw a path to a couple things, what can be done and who will our champion be. In that meeting yesterday, the governor makes this impassioned plea that everything is opened in Florida but cruising. It brings up the old thing that people have been saying for months. This is open, that is open. Why is this not open? I just want to take a minute here, and I'm not discounting all of that, but I'm really big on efficiency of energy. And so when you're going to have those kind of conversations, let's just use Disney World. Disney World is open. Why can't cruising be open? Ask yourself, is that an apples to apples comparison? And is it worth putting your energy forth to argue that because Disney World is open, cruising should be open? I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. Two reasons why those two things are not comparable. First, when you go to Disney World, there is no requirement to leave the United States. There is no requirement to leave the United States, go to a foreign country, and come back to the United States. So you don't have to cross the U.S. border to go to Disney World. When you go on a cruise, you have to cross the U.S. border, you have to leave the United States, and you are required to go to a foreign country and cross their border and come back and then cross back into the United States. So on that level, comparing Disney World and cruising is not comparable. Secondly is, who is the boss? Who is the boss of Disney World? Who is the boss whether or not you can go to Disney World? And who is the boss of whether or not you can go cruising? The reason Disney World is open is because Florida, the state of Florida, the governor of Florida, Disney World is open because of Florida. Now, Florida is the boss of that. Florida's not the boss of cruising because cruising has that leave the country. The federal government is the boss of cruising at this point. Right or wrong, all those debates can happen, but at the end of the day, the decision maker for cruising is the federal government. The decision maker for Disney World is Florida. So when you say, why are they letting Disney World be open but not letting cruising be open? Well, the they is different people. It's not comparable that way. It's not like there's one person allowing you to go to Disney World but not allowing you to go cruising. That's what I'm saying. Efficiency of energy, complain about things that we can do, fight the fight where we can fight the fight. But back to our champion, DeSantis realizes that he doesn't have the power on his own to open up cruise ports, because if he did, there would be cruising out of Florida. So now he's got to go looking for a fight. And I don't think he's looking for a fight. I think he's just looking for better communication. That is the first thing he says in this conversation, is that, you know, again, the exchange between the senator and the head of the CDC really kind of exposed a lack of communication, a lack of involved communication. That's me, you know, reading that situation. That's my opinion. And so DeSantis says if there was good communication, like there was last year, so something was going better last year in the communication. If there was good communication, then maybe we would be getting somewhere, but I don't see any good communication. And DeSantis is willing to take it to the next level. He's saying if there's no better communication than what there is right now, if there is no path back to getting sailing going sooner rather than later, then we'll go to the next level. I will instruct the Attorney General here in Florida to figure out what our options are for suing the CDC and suing the federal government. And this is significant. This is what makes DeSantis the champion for cruising, because the average Joe is not going to be able to sue the federal government and that mean anything. We see that CLIA has had challenges getting the communication going consistently between the CDC and the cruise lines, and no fault of their own, but they're not the champion, right? I mean, they speak for the cruise industry, but they don't have that kind of pull. They don't have that kind of sway, I think, to really get something done. And so while there have been calls for people to sue the government, CLIA to sue the government, this one's actually the one that could get some visibility. Like, who knows if anything's going to happen? I mean, that's back to this efficiency of energy. If these efforts actually result in something positive coming out of it, that would be awesome. But if it doesn't, then that's a whole lot of wasted energy. But at least I think the government, the state of Florida, has a little better chance at taking a run at the federal oversight of the government and the CDC than the average Joe. Now, I did say there was a way that you could join the fight, that you could join the battle. CLIA has set up a website. I'll leave a link in the first comment where you can go and your voice can be heard. You put in your information, you put in your concerns, and they will facilitate getting that message to the senators for your state and for the Congress people, for the representatives for your state. So you can jump in, and it will be interesting if, you know, I'm not a big believer in squeaky wheel stuff, but this could be an opportunity, again, because there's a champion that's with it. This may have some effects. That's the question for the comment. Is this much ado about nothing? Is this wasted energy, or do you think the efforts by the state of Florida and the voices of the people will be heard? Let's talk about that. Thank you so much for watching the show today. Please hit the like button. Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.